Seaspan is a marine transportation company, so we are operating about 220 barges and 45 tugboats. We've got 500 marine employees that work on the boats at sea. We put great value in young workers because they're our resource for the future. They're going to be the people that are going to fill the ranks in the next few years, and they're the ones that are going to be trained, to get certified to move up from deckhand to mate to master. So in 15, 20 years from now, the young workers are going to be the people that are manning all of our boats. Just going back 4 or 5 years ago, people were hired out of a closed hiring hall union situation, and the obligation of the union to the company by contract was to supply us with adequately trained personnel for deckhands. What we were finding is we weren't necessarily getting that, or we were getting some very experienced people, but they're at the tail end of their career, so they didn't represent the value that we put in the young person for the future. We needed to get cooperation from the union to be able to sort of break from the traditional way of just hiring people out of a closed union hall, which we did. They realized the same problem, so we're working, in partnership with them.
This new training program provides a significant amount of education so that the worker, when they start, they at least have an idea of what they're doing, whereas in the past, you were just thrust into it and you learned as you went along.
Our program to bring them in as deckhands is quite extensive to ensure that there is, there's no accidents, no problems, that they know what they're doing. We have a screening process on fitness. They have to be able to come to a certain level of fitness. We have our own gym on site.
And it's all based on what we actually have to do as a deckhand. So if we have to lift 80 pounds out in the water, we ask them to lift 80 pounds in the gym. It's all based on what we actually do in real life.
And they do an aptitude test, and we also have a setup staged in the field type of a drill that they do.
We have the midsection of a barge that's on the land. And what we do is we take them out there and we have them climb a rope ladder and then pull up what we call a bridle and put it on a ball over the pipe pole. And it's a hand over hand, and it's actual equipment from one of our boats. So you have to have the strength to climb up a rope ladder.
Once they make it through that, then they start getting engaged in the actual training process, which is 2 weeks. Some of it's in the classroom to do with safety training, Canada Labour Code, marine occupational safety and health, that sort of thing, some theoretical tugboat work in the classroom situation, and that's followed up by 10 days at sea within Vancouver Harbour. So it's a controlled session of a dedicated boat where we would have up to 6 trainees on board. We'd have our senior training deckhand and our training master on board, and we concentrate the activities because that boat is not engaged in any commercial activity. So they go out and they pick up barges and tie them up, pick them up and tie them up, couple them together. They do all this activity that deckhands do repeatedly.
They are scored on an individual basis each day on tasks they're asked to perform. And they get awarded anywhere from 1 to 5 points on the task.
Now, big flip up in the air.
They control their own destiny. We just award the points on their ability to do the job. Would be tie knots, splice a line, their attitude towards safety, their attitude towards helping each other out.
It was great learning from someone who's been doing your job for 30 years because you want to ask him as much questions as you can, and he wants to teach you as much as he can, right? Because he wants to see us do well and learn from, I guess, some of his mistakes that he made and learn from some of the great things he's done. So it's great to have him there.
When they successfully complete that 10 days, at that point in time, they're dispatched to go on a coastal tug for 2 weeks, and then on what we call a shift tug, which works in either the harbor or the river or both places. If they successfully get through that, then they're available to be hired.
You go out and you're not actually working, you're kind of job shadowing, I guess is a good way to put it. You're overseeing other deckhands, so you're an extra man on a boat. For instance, there's say 4 guys on a boat. You're the 5th guy, you don't really do any work, but you might help out, but you really see what they do on a day-to-day basis.
It was a benefit to the union to have workers that had some experience, some training. It's a benefit for the company. So it was a win-win solution for us with Seaspan.
You see why I go in the water?
If we don't do this, we won't have a future because we'll continually end up with people that are not fit for the job. It'll cost us money in time loss. It'll cost us time in production loss. All of those things will happen. And we know that. We know that for a fact. And they're not happening. We're actually ending up with better people. And the people are the resource that really run it. All this hardware can be fixed by throwing a couple of dollars in it, but if you don't have the right people, it doesn't go anywhere. So we need it to go somewhere, and we need it to go there safely. And that's what we're doing.